Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby and Beardy Show. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Beardy, and today we'll be reviewing The Crow.
There are time codes below should you wish to use them.
And we're on Spotify too if you wish to listen instead of watch the episode.
We sure are. That was a perfect, seamless new intro. I love it. 10 on 10. Here's the rundown. Let's crack on with the show. The Crow, as mentioned by Beardy, is what we're reviewing today. And it's classed as a gothic superhero film. Superhero, not so sure. It's directed by Rupert Sanders, with a screenplay by Zach Balin and William Schneider. It is a reboot of the Crow film series. This is the fifth film of the franchise. It's also the second film after the 1994 film, the original, I think, to adapt the 1989 comic book series by James O. Barr. This film stars Bill Skarsgard, FKA Twigs, and Danny Houston. The 1994 film, in which Brandon Lee tragically died, is a huge cult classic. But I will admit to you now, viewers and listeners, I've never watched it. One of those many films, never seen. So if you're listening to this review, if you joined us for the first time, and you're huge fans of that movie, the Crow franchise, Brandon Lee, my opinions on this film might not be what you're looking for. However, if you're like me and one of the many people around the world who've never seen The Crow or anything to do with The Crow, and this is just a new movie that's come out in the cinemas for you, my thoughts and opinions should be right up your alley. McBeardy, have you ever seen this film? Or the original?
I've seen this film. Yeah, I saw this film.
You better have seen this film. If you tricked me into seeing it last night, I'll be livid.
No, the original I did see, but many years back. I don't remember a lot of it. But what I was going to say, if people want us to watch that one and review it, leave comments. Maybe we'll give that a go and we can compare them. I would be up for that because I haven't seen them in a long time.
Not a bad idea. My most of my information and knowledge about the Crow franchise comes from the fact that the wrestler Sting, in the late 90s, started dressing as the Crow, face paint, long trench coats. And that's a gimmick he kept going until this year when he retired as a wrestler. I actually saw him on Sunday night in Wembley Stadium because he made a surprise appearance, still in the gear. So that's my knowledge of the franchise, really. So The Crow was released here in the UK on the 23rd of August this year, 2024. It's got a runtime of 1 hour, 51 minutes. The budget was around 50 million, and the worldwide box office as of today is just under 10 million. So it's not doing too well. I've got some thoughts I'd like to discuss about that in a bit, but this is the point where I say, Beardy, what's the story?
Well, if you have seen the original, it follows it kind of closely, but basically it is a twisted, tortured Bill Skarsgård who doesn't care for the world and finds solace in Shelley, played by FKA Twigs. She has a dark past too that catches up with both of them, and through random acts of violence, he is changed into the Crow as an avenging angel, basically, to set right the wrongs as long as he stays in love with her.
He has those sweet
There's a lot of blood.
healing powers. There is a lot of blood. There is.
He has, honestly, the healing mechanic in it was probably one of my favourite I've ever seen. It actually looked half decently animated, probably when most of the budget. Yes.
Popping a
Plus,
few
he
bones
actually
back in.
seems to be. Yeah, he seemed to be in more pain than a lot of the regenerative healing factor stuff we've seen from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well,
like,
especially Deadpool and Wolverine, because there's no pain in that film whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's some pain in this film, especially towards the beginning. I mean, you'd get a tolerance to it, don't get me wrong, I understand basic logic.
Yeah.
But occasionally you're like, well, it's mere minutes after you just had something happen to you, and now you're...
Yeah.
So it's a bit hit and miss on the consistency. But, yeah, some brutal stuff.
Well, as I mentioned to you, there is one part that does not sit well with me, which I'm sure we'll discuss in spoilers and why it was my issue. But, yeah.
I don't know if that's even something we can't discuss not in spoilers that moment really. But what was your opinion? So let's get into the why I think the box office is so bad. Because what did you went trailer wise when you were watching this? Because this has been quite heavily promoted. I've seen a lot of trailers for it. What were your opinions and expectations? Because I certainly had mine, which I'll tell you in a second.
So the trailer, as a lot of films do now, has all of the best bits. It's set to a better soundtrack. It makes it feel more action-based. That there's going to be more driving force behind it. The film itself is quite slow to begin, quite slow in the middle, picks up maybe in the last act. I understand they've got to set a scene and build a world, and he can't be going through this change without his history and what's happened with Shelley.
Got to make you care.
But it took a lot of time. Yeah, well, yeah, but it doesn't really.
No
problem.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, so my opinions, having seen the trailer a billion times in the cinema, and on TV as well, I think I saw it a couple of times as well, which is unusual because I don't really watch too much TV, so for that to hit me. I thought the film looked atrocious from the trailers. And it's, as it was coming out, it's had some brutal reviews and feedback. Rotten Tomatoes was doing its usual thing where they just bomb things, but you can't pay attention to that sort of stuff. What I want to say straight away is it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's a watchable film. Wouldn't recommend you go and watch it, really, because it's just kind of bland and kind of forgettable. And things, and I think the action's a bit whatever. But let's get into my theory on why the box office is so poor. One, I don't think the market's there for it, really, to be there. You've got superhero fatigue. I don't class this as a superhero film. Personally, this is a revenge film with some supernatural gubbins in it. This is not in the same sort of league as Superman. So to be classing that as weird.
The thing is, it fits in its time frame. What 1994 was the original film. Came out around the same time as Spawn. Then there's one other. Blade. Thank you. Yes. That genre fit around that time. There was a lot of interest in it. There isn't so much anymore. I think that's the issue. The darkest people want to go is Batman, and this is quite a bit darker.
Yeah. My main thought of why it's not done too well is very similar to when we reviewed Boy Kills World, which was another Bill Skarsgard, 18 rated film here in the UK. I believe it's The Crows are 15 in the US. But it feels very much the same, where you've pushed for this 18 so you can have mostly gore, to be honest, and some big kills, which there aren't that many, and they're not that good. To be honest. So if you dial it back a smidge, get that 15 rating here in the UK, I guarantee teenage boys in their angsty stages of life will go and see this movie. I just guarantee it's the summer holidays. Guarantee it. But you put it to an 18, but because that's what it is.
I 100% agree. No, I 100% agree. I think this is more with this than it was with Boy Kills World. Boy Kills World had more gratuitous violence. There was so much of it, I could argue it needed 18. But this, if it tiled back about 3 instances, it probably would have been fine as a 15.
Yeah.
And yeah, more people would have gone to see it. It didn't need that high rating. And I don't know what the original film was. I'm going to quickly check.
Yeah, that's a good question. I assumed it was an 18, but I was making an assumption. Basically, while you look that up, it's made a fifth of its budget back so far in like a week, it's probably not going to like suddenly ramp up. So that's a fifth of its budget, and that doesn't include marketing, which we know most people go double it.
The original was a 15.
Well, that doesn't make sense then. I thought maybe the argument could be it was an 18. You've got to keep it an 18 to honor the film or something. But if it was a 15, keep it a 15, get more butts in seats, make more money, and honestly, it's not good enough to be an 18, because when you've got Deadpool and Wolverine, what was it? Was that an 18? I can't remember. Was it an 18?
Yes,
they rated. Yeah, that's the biggest of all time these days. Of course it is.
Yes.
But that's got such a wide audience appeal. And then this is just just doesn't.
and this is kind of my issue because like more people, I don't want to say it's a good film, but it has potential to be good. I like Bill Skarsgard and the whole Skarsgard family. I've made that apparent in many of these podcasts, and I think he's hit some bad luck with viewership recently. Danny Houston plays fantastic characters that you love to hate. He does it in this, he does it in Yellowstone and a few others. There has potential. It could have been really, really good, but they've put too much on the angsty and the gore, and it could have had a better story if you dialed some of them back, and more people would have seen it.
Yeah, I've got a note here. No one is bad in this film. Everyone plays their roles quite well, but they don't really have much to do, really. And I wanted a lot more backstory and information and screen time for Danny Houston, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about how he has demon powers and what he does with them, and I wanted to see more of like maybe a cult kind of thing around him rather than just some regular henchmen who are a bit scared. And there's hints in the film, or at least I felt there were, or maybe I was just clutching for them, where the spirit guide, the spirit world, are like seem sort of desperate to deal with Danny Houston and his things.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, Eric's the guy, he can deal with this. They're kind of like want to use him. They're like, you need to do this for us, or essentially. But it's not really. Were there others before that have failed? Give me some more. I want something more. No, it's paper thin. The film is paper thin.
Yes, it feels like with a bit more exposition. Like, why was Eric the right person? Like you say, could there have been others? Were they waiting a long time for him? Danny Houston obviously is an anomaly in this world as well. What happened there? Like, say, was he maybe had this deal for X amount of time and it wasn't supposed to go on this long, and he's pushed it further than he should? And it's like they say, the scales are unbalanced.
Yeah.
What scales?
How did he get the powers? Like, I want to see. Give me some. I want to see stuff. I want to see him. Like, yeah. There's not enough. They waste a lot of time doing nothing in particular. Yeah. And also, like, as revenge films go, it's fine, but it's kind of forgettable. There's much better revenge films that have come out in the last, since the original Crow film, that I never saw, like I said. But also, like, these guys have, like, the characters of Eric and Shelley have known each other for like a week, like a month. Like, well, I don't know what the time scale is, but it doesn't feel very long.
It's not long.
They don't you don't really care that stuff. You watch them.
No.
You watch them die. And you're like, okay, I guess this is sad. I suppose I should feel sad.
There was an element when I was watching this where, as bad as it sounds, obviously they meet at a rehab facility, and it sounds bad, but it's only damaged to this extent that will push themselves this far that quickly on average. And it's very much taking advantage of a bad situation and running with it, and it gets worse. And yeah, I want to feel sorry for them and feel sad for them, but it just there's no depth. Like it's a puddle of rather than a deep ocean of interest.
Also, they're thick as mints because they stay in the same city where all the trouble is. Just get a train.
Yes.
Just go to the other side of America, and you'll probably be fine, to be honest.
Because they get the other guy to leave.
Yeah, he leaves. He's never seen again. He's like, well, I'm out. Bye. I'm going to San Francisco, or depending on where this film's set, New York, the opposite side of the country. Yeah, the action, it's whatever. It kind of obviously starts halfway through once this,
Yeah.
I've seen it done, like I say, countless times better in other films. There's one scene in particular that we talked about briefly yesterday that we'll get into, I imagine.
The choreography wasn't outstanding in a film that I think could have used it. Like, there's a comment from the original, like, Wolverine, X-Men Origins, where, like, guns don't have the same gravitas as a sword. And yeah, this walking in with a samurai sword in your black cape, fantastic. That people are going to remember that. Then do more with it. Like, it's just so empty again.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. And I also think the film has a pretty disappointing end game as well, which I will again get more to in spoilers in a minute or so's time. Just want to make one point out of spoilers. Eric is a bad friend, gets a friend killed at one point, and then he just sits down on the sofa and makes some jokes of a dead henchman. Well, you're a bad friend, mate. You're a bit of a dick. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
Pulling you out. Where did that come from? Because it's not a funny film. It's not a comedy. And then suddenly there's jokes being... Oh, weird. Suddenly out of nowhere. Anything you want to add before we go into spoilers?
No, I think spoilers are needed. We've covered as much as we can.
Cool. Just one more thing from me, because I forgot to mention it. There are a number of out-of-nowhere needle drops that kind of very loud, very sudden, don't really add that much to the film, in my opinion. Kind of tired of the needle drop movement that feels like it's really come on since Guardians. It feels like there's a lot of films go, right, now we have a popular track. I don't need it.
Oh, yeah, no. Like I said, the soundtrack for the trailer was outstanding. The soundtrack in the film was weird and disjointed. Like, they were trying to... It feels like someone's like, I have good music, please put it in the film. We haven't listened to it, but sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Here we are in
spoilers.
spoiler time, big time spoiler time. Lead the way, sir.
So, firstly, thumbs.
Oh, bloody hell. It's thumbs down. I'm sorry. I can't
it's a thumbs
recommend
down.
you watch it as a film. I mean, maybe on streaming if you're really bored, but I think there's better
for
stuff
me,
out there.
I think that I'm usually quite generous when it comes to films, but this one really kind of teased me in and then did nothing when I was there. Like, it just...
Bland.
Yeah, the trailer had so much potential, and it let me down. Whereas others, I think it's been the other way, and I can kind of give them some credit for that. Areas that, like I say, really, really missed the mark. The knitting together of the flesh, like you say, was really, really nice. It was actually really well animated. Probably where a lot of the budget went, if I'm honest. The part where he kind of gets kicked out of a car and goes underneath a lorry, and his leg's all broken, and he's pretty busted. And again, that works really nicely, and there's not too much of this bone cracking sound that's not necessary for people fixing themselves and all random other noises. It's actually really well done. Like I say, he feels the pain at the beginning and most of the way through.
Yeah.
As soon as he's healed, obviously the pain is gone. But yeah, he actually looks like and feels like he's in pain, which I think is good acting. I think the Skarsgård brothers can act. He's just not been in some great films recently. Although I did love Boy Kills World, but that's a whole other thing.
We gave that film a thumbs up, but it could have been...
I'll watch it again. I think FKA Twig's character, the love interest, didn't make sense to me. She was just there and he was bored as far as I could tell, and she didn't do or say anything that
bored and or horny
too far,
because he draws her naked at one point. Out.
Yes. Yeah, no, completely. And then like they have these weird tying in together scenes that are trying to push the story further, like the weird part where they make music together, which is not a euphemism. But they're like badly playing keyboard and singing, and then that pushes the story further. And it's supposed to be like a bonding thing, and I just don't feel it. It is very, like you say, teenage angsty. They're standing on a bridge saying, if we jumped, would other angsty teenagers who like put flowers out? And just it feels like story for the sake of story. It's plot for the sake of plot, and I just didn't.
Agreed. My big problem is the main fight scene. Which I say big
in the opera.
There's a big opera fight scene where he goes, got his full powers, and he just kills a bunch of henchmen who are, I'm just gonna assume they're all the spawn of Satan. They're all the worst people in the world. There's not a single good dad amongst them. No good dads here today, unfortunately, everybody. But it's not that well put together. It doesn't quite. They haven't really edited it perfectly, like with the opera, the music. It's kind of just like there's just two things happening at the same time, and that's where a lot of the gore is, and a lot of it just gets stupid. To be honest, there's a lot of weird. It's like funny-ish, like deaths. Like there's swords through people, then he stabs like through him, and then he stabs someone with the sword, and it's like what? Okay.
Yeah, they bounce between trying to be funny and then having the gore, and then they go to he cuts someone's face in half through the mouth, which is kind of gruesome.
Oh, I didn't like that bit. That was the one bit I genuinely didn't like. I was like, ugh. Can imagine that,
so,
can't you?
Obviously, yeah, no, horrible. I didn't mind it, the gore on that side of it. I wasn't a big fan of, but fine. The curb stomping someone's neck for me, obviously with my broken neck history, not the funnest thing for me to watch. I was like just sinking into my seat, like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't really be serious and gory and gritty, or be funny and trying to put the back and forth. It didn't work.
Agreed. It felt like somebody had watched one of the Mission Impossible films has like a really good tense. It's not a big action scene like that, but tense scene at the opera, and like everything is working and it's timed and edited really well. And they kind of went, "Oh, opera, that's a cool." And you can have the visuals of like demons like that, and it's like works for the story. But in execution, it didn't land for me.
It could have been really good if they'd done more with the opera on stage, whereas they just cut to random bits and it didn't really fit. If they had like a good transition from him doing an action to someone doing a similar thing on stage, that would work really nicely. Because it did have this sort of like, I don't actually know what the opera was, and I really should have checked.
Yeah, I'd have been professional on both of us, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it's very much demons in hell and fine. And then, the end part of it where he's just killed the two he's gone to find, and he just walks on stage and throws the heads.
Like,
why?
Why was that about? That doesn't make any sense. Unless that was like a big opera for the people. Like, again, like I mentioned earlier, is there like a big cult behind Danny Houston's character, and that everybody in that opera is a big evil meanie, and he's like, right, you big evil meanies, I'm coming for you. Like, this is the reckoning and the wake. But no, I don't think it was that. I think it was just a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it really. Like, if that was the point, fantastic. But like you say, with the henchmen and that, no one's paid enough to deal with the stuff that he's just done to people. Like, it just makes no sense. Honestly, it seems like they went, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, this is a good idea. How can we make these flow into each other? Oh, with this like duct tape together issue? Fine, that'll do.
Yeah. And then you get to the finale, which is a post of the big opera like session where all the good dads die. And he drives to the baddie's mansion, and the baddie's combing his hair with a brush, and I'm thinking, right, we're gonna get to the good stuff now. There's gonna be a big conversation. Yeah, a cool fight scene. No, really quick chat. Thrown through a vanity mirror into purgatory land at the train station.
Yeah.
And then he's quickly drowned in a puddle of demon snakes. And that's what we spent 2 hours building up to, boys and girls. Just like it's over like that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
And again, I don't mind situations like that. You think to Indiana Jones when there's the big sword thing and he just shoots him.
But that's in the middle of the film, in fairness.
Yeah, I know. But an anticlimactic end to something is fine if done well. This just left you wanting. Like, it doesn't explain anything. Just, again, it's empty. It's hollow and it's shallow.
Yeah.
Like the pool he falls into. And they love a slow motion in this. Absolutely love a slow-mo. Which, again, probably the other half of the budget went on. Because they were actually well done slow-mos.
Yeah. And then Bill Skarsgard kind of wanders off, which is a reshoot or a re-edit, because they wanted to leave it open for a sequel, which he wasn't a fan of, apparently, I read. But then we get to the time travel. There's some time travel. Shelley wakes up on the night of when she got murdered. Bill Skarsgard's dead. And the spirit guide is there as the paramedic guy, and he fought really hard for you. All right, bye. Okay. All right, we're doing time travel, are we, as well? A bit of time travel? All right, sure. You didn't explain anything else, so why not?
The way this year in superhero things are going, there's going to be a multiverse. You know it. It's going to be a multiverse.
Oh, yeah, it's just like, what did we build? That's it. That's the finale. We spend like an hour doing like not that convincing love stuff. He picks. Oh yeah, my favorite bit of the entire film is he goes back to the apartment to look for a video we haven't even mentioned, because she's done a murder, and it's on video, and that's apparently going to incriminate the bad guy, even though he just whispers in her ear in the video. I don't think the jury are going to do too much with that, if I'm honest. And he's walking around there, and he walks past the chair where he'd put his big trench coat, which they started having sex in earlier in the film during the sex montage. And he puts his dirty sex coat on, and that's his look for the rest of the film. All right, brilliant. And I criticised Solo for how he got his jacket and gun just handed to him. And in this, he's like, sex jacket, yeah, that's mine. Right, I'm done. I'm done talking about the Crow. Do you want to add anything else?
I think I'm done. I really wanted to like this, and I really wish I could.
Like I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It is technically watchable, but it's also very bland and disappointing. Wouldn't recommend you watch it. But if you do, I don't think you're technically going to have the worst time of your life. So there we go. And isn't that what we want in movies? Not the worst time in our lives.
This year, potentially, yes.
Oh dear. Right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video or you use Spotify, consider leaving a like and things. Subscribe for more. There's plenty more stuff to review in the coming year. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.